Hello and welcome to the Winners Not Away Show. I am your host, Trent Clark. I am the CEO of Leadershipity, a serial entrepreneur for sure, the president of EOS Michigan, the entrepreneurs organization, which I've been a member of for over 14 years. I speak all over the world. I am the author of Leading Winning Teams, and I am a Bloom growth coach helping a lot of companies double their value very rapidly. And then we just go on to 10X. It's pretty fun. You should call me. But most people know me because I coached professional baseball, coaching in 3 World Series over 12 years. And today on the Winners Find a Way show, I welcome my guest, Gull Borenstein. Gull, how are you doing, man?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on your program.
Man, I'm excited to have you. We are talking expertise, branding, and marketing. And listen, man, the Borenstein Group is no joke. These guys are all about working with the highest tech companies. They're moving fast, and digital marketing have really set themselves apart as an organization in that. And of course, Gall, man, you're an author of like at least 4 books, and you just keep pumping them out, man.
Yep. There's a lot of interesting topics, and they're all really connected to the same principles. Just the way I'm sure in your coaching career, you'll find that winning and losing and doing the right thing and having the right ethic and team play are the core of whatever topic you're trying to solve. So very similarly to us, it's all about strategy and trust. And trust basically builds the brand, not the other way around.
Yeah, we're going to get into that because you wrote a whole book on trust, man. And right now it's an interesting deal because we're going to get into it later. But I will say, I think this is the lowest I've ever seen trust in America, man. I mean, I grew up and maybe it was different, as a kid in the 70s, but I felt like, man, what Tom Brokaw says got to be true. Like everything, man. It was like, yes, America bad, Russia or America good, Russia bad. Like, get under your desk, Cold War, like there were so many things. And now, with Nixon and everything else, you start looking back at the history and like, we were pretty screwed up then. And so it's pretty wild, man. I know. And you're an Israeli, so you are not born here. You came over here for university. And so that's a unique background of you. Married now with 6 kids. You are the Brady Bunch, 3 from the first, and then remarried, and you've blended the families. And man, what? Tell me what life is like at the Borenstein house with like the Brady Bunch, or some of these have gone on and they're on their own. Is that fair?
Yes, I'm very proud of my first 3, which were all boys. They graduated from UVA. They're all in the marketplace with jobs that they got on their own. So I'm a proud dad when it comes to teaching my kids how to hunt and actually have the confidence to talk to other people, which resulted in them being able to build their own network with no help from dad.
Let's talk about, you're an immigrant, right? Like you came over here, you came to Temple, probably went to school with Bill Cosby. No, I'm just kidding.
He actually walked in my graduation in Eugene, which is what he was known for. He always showed up in the middle. It wasn't in the program, and everybody basically was like going crazy. So
yeah, that's funny. And then you went on to grad school at George Mason. Now, what's interesting to me is you've had the Borenstein Group for what? I mean, over 30 years, right? Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
So as an entrepreneur who's forged his way, the kids, none of them have chose like, you know what? I want to be like dad. I want to own my own business. And so far they haven't decided they want that.
No, their genes are obviously seen partly they've seen dad working hard and being a business owner, and they picked up on that, knowing that it's not easy. And you work crazy hours, and work comes with you wherever you go. You hardly can disconnect, even if you put your phone away. On a cruise ship, you still basically engage in something that has to do with ideation about new ideas, or trying to relax, and that relaxation happens, but it always connects to feeling guilty that I'm not doing something. And that's the fun of being an entrepreneur. The best part of it is you waking up in the morning not knowing what are the, accidents and successes of the day, and putting up a way to kind of fix it and to make it better for
Yeah.
clients, for my business.
Yeah, I often wonder about that as an entrepreneur. One of my boys is dying to be. I have 5 children, right? And my oldest is. I mean, he's got his own remodeling company. He's doing all sorts of stuff, and very proud of all the kids. And I think, and I'm always, I am cautious. I'm like, careful what you wish for. Like, are you sure? Like, because they saw dad on vacation, like, oh man, I got to go take this call. I got to go run to a coffee shop and get on this Zoom. And it's like, aren't we going to go ride jet skis? You're like, well, yeah, when I'm done with this call, not till then. Right. So it's a balancing act, man. It's a little bit of a high rope, right? It's a little bit of a thing, but let's talk about, I mean, where you started. I mean, as a young dude, you've got this real passion for the military. You're a military journalist. I know you're involved with the Warrior Ethos, which is great. Big veteran support group. If you have not heard of the Warrior Ethos, very cool. We'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit. But where did it all start? Like, I mean, journalism was kind of in the blood.
Journalism was something that I started dabbling with when I was 12. And I was a writer. I wrote poetry. I wrote letters to the editor when I was 12.
Nice.
And it was a progression of doing that, and then a local newspaper in Israel, where the city that I was part of had kind of a daily and weekly editions. And I basically wrote to the editor and say, hey, there's nobody's representing what the youth is thinking. Young people, everything is like old people. And he wrote me back and said, well, that is fantastic. Bring it on.
Yeah.
Show me what you can do. So I basically became kind of like almost like a columnist. And then the fun part was I was 14 and 15, and I was already kind of making some money, very little money, the way journalists get paid. But that basically led to me being called for active duty, which is what every Israeli-born citizen has to do unless they're unable to
Is that every citizen or every male?
No, every citizen,
Every
male
citizen.
and female, have to
Yes.
serve 3 years, and you don't get to choose where you go. So
Yeah.
there are basically, obviously, very, very motivated people that go through commando units and
Yeah.
parachute and
Yeah.
all these different things. I was basically a Woody Allen in that environment. So I did not kill anything, even if it wanted to kill me, other than with a pen. So it was a natural progression that there were 3 positions available for what's called the Army newspaper, or what would be Stars and Stripes here.
Yeah.
And I competed against 500 different candidates that were all very, very connected. But the point is, what I brought as an asset to starting college at age 21, which is something that was the default when you finish service over there.
Yeah. You're an older freshman coming into America, right? Like, I mean,
correct. And I was not interested in smoking pot in the dorms and, the dorm life, if you will, or that wasn't my goal. My goal was, how can I finish school so I can actually have the certificates and diplomas to do the things that I'm hoping I can do. It was really the toughness and the challenge of trying to basically have my wife at that time was a graduate student in PhD in clinical psychology. I was doing finishing a master's degree in business and technology, which said what's going to happen. And then I look for a job with a master's degree in Northern Virginia, in Washington, D.C. Nobody takes me seriously. They look at the resume and they say, who's this combination of things? Is he, where does he belong? And all my friends went to work for Booz Allen and Accenture and all the Lockheed Martin and all these companies, which I could easily have qualified looking back. But I didn't have the social network built because it's not easy being green, if you will, when you come to kind of a new country, have to kind of learn the culture and also adopt second language, which I had been proficient at, but make that into kind of the thought process that, captures all the things that needed to be captured. Yeah.
It's good. Let's talk about, let's shift gears a little bit because, you've, how many languages do you know?
I speak 4 languages.
4 languages. How has that served you? You talk about people don't speak the language of technology. I was in this. I was doing federal government sales for cybersecurity groups and different things. And man, I mean, you could get deep into a conversation. It could go over a head pretty quick, right? And there's a lot of data to know. I mean, and that feels like you kind of said, these people don't know the language, and technology is almost its own language, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And like any industry, it's got, its bailiwicks, right? And I was in maritime as well. And, you start talking to people and they don't know. And, I don't know if you're a sports fan, but, our big joke in baseball, when they'd hire in someone who doesn't know, they'd get, some kid who didn't speak the language, who didn't really know it. And they'd be like, hey, you got to go out to field 12 and pick up that bucket of curveballs. And then the kid's out running around. Hey, I'm looking for the bucket of curveballs. Well, everybody's in on that because they know there is no bucket of curveballs. Oh, you got to go out to field 17. You got to go to this shed. And they got a kid running, and it's an inside joke, but it's all because they don't know the language, right? They don't know the language. And so how has been a person, before we get into the books, how has been a person who speaks 4 languages? How does that serve you? Because I get a kick out of this. I'm a first class traveler most of the time, right? So I'm often with people who speak multiple languages. That's pretty common, and I think there's a correlation with first class and multiple languages, right? And I found that to be true. And I like the old joke, you're a 3 language, you're trilingual. If you're 2 languages, you're bilingual, and if you're 1 language, you're American, right? So that's the funny, because we don't choose to go learn other languages. Everyone's to speak English. We're American. Yeah.
Right.
How has this served you coming here? What's that?
It's speaking American, not English.
American. Yeah, right. That's American.
Yeah.
So exactly. How has been a person of intimate knowledge of 4 language that you're fluent in, how has that served you in your growth of your company and as a person here in America and coming across?
I think the single most important benefit that it brought to the table, and I'll tell you the con side of it, but first to the positive, was the fact that America is kind of a melting pot of people from different cultures, not just languages. You can have the same language but not have the same culture, and being able to understand that people are people first, and they all deserve respect and to be listened to when you're in a kind of transactional communication process, and then learning a little bit about their culture and decision-making process, and why do they hate something and they like the other, makes a huge difference, because your conversation is really focused first on understanding, that customer persona, if you will, which allowed me to kind of endear myself versus coming in and say, here's our PowerPoint presentation. And the person on the other side could be kind of a very smart immigrant from India that, nobody basically talks to in the office unless they need a report or, a coding project. only to realize that they, like the same bands, they like the same music.
Yeah.
They like going to a Wizards game or to
Yeah.
watch
Right.
a
Yeah.
Commanders
I'm a Caps
game.
fan, man. Caps
Uh,
fan.
yes, exactly. And that really kind of was the foundation, because the more listening you do, then the training with languages, which all came by osmosis of coming from a family that, from Europe. So by default, my dad was from Romania, my mom was from Poland, my grandmother was from Russia. Then they came to Israel as refugees
You fit
in the
right
war.
into America, man. You're just like the
And then,
mutt, like the rest of us, right?
yes, exactly. And I always made the point to tell my kids, America is not the center of the universe. It's the
Yeah.
leader, but
Yeah.
you need to learn what's going on outside the Bahamas
Yes.
in
Yes.
terms of
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
ability to really kind of do business. So, and communicate and be a wholesome citizen and a person that can help other people. So
Yeah.
the con part of it, yes.
Yeah, kind of on that. I mean, I tell a lot of people, one, if you're down on America, you should thicken up your passport and go find out how other people live, because you'll find
Absolutely.
out there's benefits and there's things that aren't so great. Other countries do some things better, and you should understand that. But, the reality for me is that I don't see Americans like defecting to Kazakhstan. Like they don't want to go out. Most people want to come here because of the opportunity, right? The other thing I really like, and I'm probably really proud of this, is that I meet people. I'll go to the Olympics here next month, and I'll meet all the Italians. We're Italian. We're from Italy. I'm Japanese. I'm from Japan. I'm Indian. I'm from India. I'm Russian. I'm from Russia. We're Americans. So
Yes.
your heritage is awesome, but like we have all those heritages here. And we love that. Like I love that you're half, Romanian, like this is it. Like we're half Polish and English, and we're half Polish and Jewish, and like that's great. Like you're coming here, and and you shouldn't forget your heritage, right? Nobody should do that. But
No.
I like the fact that you're just an American. I think that's part of the humanity we've lost here in this country, is that people are people, man. And we're from everywhere. And we built the whole thing on immigration, right? Like the whole thing. No one's from here, really. We got a few Native Americans, right? But like they're not a high percentage. Like the percentages everywhere from everywhere else, right? So it makes it such an interesting dichotomy that really most other countries just don't have. They don't have the level of immigration ever that
Correct.
we would have.
Correct. And the saying is, it's actually something that I forgot who said it, but holds very true, is that the rest of the world are basically individual societies, and America is a society of individuals. And the difference between the two is that anywhere else, even if it's like France or Germany, immigrants are being put in like modern kind of projects, housing projects, and they don't interact with the local population. They only speak their language, unless
Segregated.
Yeah, they're segregated.
Yeah.
And in the U.S., whether you came from Greece, you came from Italy, you came from Ireland, whatever nationality or ethnicity you came from, part of being American is really kind of creating something new. And the one thing that is shared with all parents that came here as immigrants is, I want my kids to do better than I did, because I didn't have the opportunity. I could never afford it. I had to take care of the family. And by the way, if you ever did a survey, if someone ever did a survey, who were the most successful executives and entrepreneurs in America, you will find that most of them have either a first generation or second generation connection to a different culture. It wasn't all born in Nebraska and out of the cornfield. You have basically a new knowledge. As you were describing the question, actually, what came to mind was music. What is American music? American music, for example, whether it's rock, rhythm and blues, hip hop, if you just take that as an example, it's all basically influenced by generations before, from the days of slavery to the day of new immigrants that came from Germany and figured out how to take that and make it into new beats, to taking it to a whole new audience that then incorporated violins into it. So that is really kind of the story of America. And that's the reason, for example, music is one of the most popular export that we have to the world. More American songs are actually the song or the standards, if you will, which I associate with Frank Sinatra. It was my favorite of all times. He's the GOAT. But the point being, it's really,
Yes.
really different. And the point that connects to it really is, going back to your question, is understanding who you are and understanding how you can use what you got to connect to other people. And typically, I try to connect to the lowest people on the totem pole first. I basically did not go into a meeting in a client's building or office without talking to the receptionist first.
Yeah.
And what happened? The receptionist, who always kind of get treated badly because she has to bear the brunt of, oh, where's my FedEx package or whatever it is. Nobody talks to them nicely and appreciate what they do. So maybe now they're kind of becoming AI agents. But the point is, I knew a lot more about the culture of the company before I actually entered the boardroom by how they treat the receptionist. If they treated the receptionist bad, I knew that I may not want to do business with that company.
Yeah, that's good. I really hope, on this subject line, Gal, I hope that, I think the world looks us and thinks like, oh, America's got a major immigration issue. We don't. Like we have a legal immigration system that works, and we account for, and our immigrants come in and assimilate into our culture, and they contribute to our culture, which is monetarily working in the capitalist system. The challenge is when we have illegal immigration, right? Like when there's this influx of like, hey, well, we're not going to pay our way. Like, wait a minute, like, hold on. Like, hey, man, a lot of people had to work really hard to get legal status and do it the right way. And we got to honor those folks who came in, and it's got to be organized, and it's got to be, controlled, or else, man, this is a big challenge. And obviously we saw that in the last 4 or 5 years, right? That we ran into an issue, and there's no real good, easy, answers on the repair of that either, by the way. We're having that issue now. But let's talk about your books. I mean, you're this young journalist. You start writing books pretty early. I mean, What Really Counts for CEOs back in 2006, then Activate, which is, you're on the cusp of the digital marketing campaign in 2009, right? Right at the downturn where this is like, hey, you better learn how to market differently, which was very cost effective compared to old marketing ways, right? Digital marketing was quote unquote cheap, in 2009. It was a better alternative. Then, I mean, your biggest one right now, so hot. Don't believe the hype. We're going to talk about that. The loss of trust, and man, it's crazy. And your new one, beating Goliath with AI. I mean, super excited to talk about that as we get this whole AI, the concerns with it. I see arguments in Hollywood: is AI going to take jobs? Is all these things, and everyone's a little on edge that AI is going to take jobs. And if they don't think they're going to take jobs, they're probably misled. I mean, that is going to happen. That is the benefit of technology. And we've been doing this. This is not new. Technology has been replacing things at a cost that we didn't have to pay before. As entrepreneurs, you and I know that better than anybody, that we're going with cost effectiveness and ROI, and people are not always the best investment sometimes, and they can be a heavy cost center. And so it's a challenge, and I think it's now at a critical mass that people become the best teammates they can ever be, and for people who don't understand what that looks like to be a part of an organization and contribute, I think it's going to get really rough out there. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think that you hit the nail on the head about what is the role of AI moving forward. First, there's always what we call the bell curve of any technology, where people are getting too excited about something.
Yeah.
Look at the NVIDIA stock, right? It went from being, underappreciated to overappreciated to having competitors that came in and said, we can do it for 15% of what you're
Yeah.
charging. And I always remind people,
Welcome to capitalism, right? Like that's it right
yeah,
there,
that's
man.
capitalism, right? It's a
Yeah.
bell curve, and if you get to the top of the bell curve and you don't lose your assets in the process, or your soul, or your culture
Yeah.
of the company, you have a chance of being kind of that standard, if you will, just the way
Yeah.
Bill Gates did with Microsoft. Where I always joke with people, and it's true, is I said, Microsoft is such a great company, and I'm an avid user of Microsoft Office and all its tools. But explain to me one thing: how can a software that is almost a monopoly in most of corporate America, uh, the government uses Teams because it's supposedly
Yeah.
the most secure.
Yep.
It probably is, but the point is, how is it possible that uh, you're making software and the price never goes down? You're making more of something, and instead of having the licenses cost less because millions more are buying, it's still going up in price every time. And the answer to that is because you can't. You're a monopoly. But going back to the role of AI, really, and what you just described, which is amazingly on point, is I am old enough to remember the days where email got introduced. And when email got introduced, everyone that was an administrative assistant, executive assistant, and all the jobs that included correspondence, basically lost their faith that they're going to have a job, because they said, well, if my boss can write a letter and it doesn't have to be proofed, and they're doing it all day, what's my job going to be in that
Mhm.
environment? The same happened when voicemail was introduced. Well, if there's no receptionist that needs to be answered the phone because you have interactive voice response, IVR, uh, what do you have? You basically are going to displace all the people that took the calls, took notes, brought it to their boss or to other people in the company. And lo and behold, voicemail took over. And now there's no such thing as just calling and not leaving a message, right? And that goes all the way here to where we are now, which is AI is a monster that can do many things. But if you're not looking at it as an enabling force to make your company better, to make your position in the company better, to make your brand work better, you're missing the whole point.
Mhm.
It is a tool, it is a robot, it is not a human being. So I always tell people, think about if you had, if you remember like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there was this, wizardry phenomena of people that were fast readers. And there were all these
Yeah.
competitions where you would basically have them compete on how many books can they read in an hour or 2 hours, and then retain the memory of what it is that they read. And they found out that they retained some memory, but most of the time it was just like a, cognitive trick where, yes, they're able to read more lines, but they didn't understand what the meaning of the lines
Yeah.
are as books. Fast forward, a lot of people are looking at implementing AI agents in sales, in CRM, in surveys, in product development. But the biggest question that you got to ask is, are you going to let a robot do it for you, or are you going to be the person the boss that actually dictates what are the outputs that you're looking for, and making sure that you're building a kind of a system that is really based on human cognition and feelings. So you're connecting with your audience, whichever your audience is. It could be talking to your employees. It could be talking to, buyers on the other side of the fence. And what people are doing, which I found very disturbing, but expected, is they're in a FOMO mode. They think that if they don't get AI, they may lose the innovation brand associated with the word innovation. So what do? They basically hire a company that knows how to put a process together, but doesn't know what are the cultural values of the company. What are the things that will connect to an audience in terms of the psychology of communication. It just has basically the ability to solve logical problems, but business is not logic. Business has logic in it, but when you hire let's say a business developer, when you hire somebody to help you in accounting, what's the most important trait? It's to be a human and to be able to have judgment. And that judgment does not exist with AI and will not for a long time. So your job, it's anybody who thinks that they're going to be displaced, replaced, is to embrace AI and look at it as this is the employee or prospect is sitting right next to me in the interview room, but I'm better than them because I can tell a story about customer experience. I can show the interviewer how what I do matters to the environment, for example, if that's a value to the company is interested in. So that was really kind of the core of it.
When you say beating Goliath, I mean, like, I've always thought in small business, we're going up against always big companies. There's always somebody in your area that's the best in the world at it, and they might have the biggest brand. They may not be the best at it, but they got the biggest brand for sure. The benefit of small business has always been being nimble. I always look at the big, gigantic, tanker ship that's like gigantic and in the ocean, and then you've got the mastercraft next to it that looks like a little small nothing. But when you need to pivot directions, that mastercraft's your vessel. Like, you need to go back into the coves and the little areas of the shoreline there. The mastercraft works. The big vessel can't do it. So is this part of beating Goliath? Is this another tool in the belt of small business to even be more quick, to be more responsive, to be that more nimble than your big competitor? Is that fair?
Absolutely. When I was writing the book, I really kind of focused with the Goliath book, which is called Beating Goliath with AI, as a small business playbook, essentially for companies that are smaller. It could be the coffee shop that is not Starbucks. It could be a financial consulting firm. It could be any company that does not own 50,000 employees.
Yeah.
The advantage that small business always had and will continue to have is the ability to adapt, the ability to have gimmicks and interesting ideas that they can experiment with without spending 6 months doing it and fail often, fail fast, is something that they know how to do, and really kind of create what I call AI slingshots, if you will. So to kill Goliath or to beat Goliath, you can basically hire an army because you don't have that army, and we're all Davids. So David basically had 5 slingshots or 5 hits of AI, and those represent metaphorically solutions that allow a company that or an organization that is still a small business to look and say, where is our competitor vulnerable? Is it that they don't understand the customers? Or, for example, a new group of immigrants moved into an area where my store is. Am I making any effort to welcome them, or do what Goliath would do, which is to do market research in 26 markets? It will take 9 months to a year, and there's a
Yeah.
committee that meets, and nothing comes out of it typically, because by then the trend has passed. If you're doing market research, you don't have a staff of researchers, but with AI, you can get a solid level of information that you need to verify, because AI does have hallucinations sometimes because it works so fast and comes from different sources. But you can ask, what are the most trending issues that would help my business grow if I'm the business owner of uh, a coffee shop that is unique, a cheesemaker, whatever you kind of pick as a metaphor. And I think that is really where that fear is even greater. So small business owners, in my book, is all about helping them understand that they shouldn't be afraid of AI, and they should not pick the first solution that presents itself, because it may not meet the culture and their own values. And I think most small businesses are values-based businesses. They try to do
Yes.
good in their community. They're
Yeah.
trying to create a community, and that's not what big corporate wants to do. Now,
I love it. So
legitimate.
yeah, I love it. I love it. So let's talk. First of all, real quick, before we go over to the don't believe the hype, because I got some great stats on don't believe the hype that you threw out to me, which is so good. What most people don't know about you is you actually your most recent wedding here, when you became the Brady Bunch, was televised live on NBC from your living room. I mean, like, that's crazy, man. Like NBC televised your wedding, right? And I'm just trying to figure out, like, how in the world did you, but this is the ultimate PR marketing guy. You become the influencer when all of a sudden you've got a major network who's willing to do this. So walk me through how that's happened.
Well, it was the last few days before the federal and state of Maryland, where I live, shut down any kind of parties, any restaurants, and
This is
they
2020. This is right,
yeah,
COVID Central.
right, COVID Central, and it's March, and the last 2 days of that month, which were supposed to be the wedding that we were planning in a restaurant, uh, we got a kind of an email, like everybody else in the county, and it said, you can't have more than 10 people gathering anywhere.
Right.
Well, we had 6 kids that blended into a kind of Brady Bunch type of family, all different ages, but still, we created kind of what I call the Borenstein brand of a family, because we
Nice.
expect a
Nice.
lot from them, and they over deliver in what they do, which amazes me every day, and I feel very
Nice.
blessed.
Love that.
But the solution that we came out with, number one, we're not canceling our wedding for
Yeah.
any reason, unless we're literally disabled and not able to actually communicate with each other, because love comes first. And then the second challenge is, well, where are we going to do it? And the answer wound up being that we can't do it anywhere. So we did it in our living room. I mail ordered Jewish chuppah, which is another word for a canopy that is kind of blessed by a rabbi. So we had a rabbi, we had a canopy, which a friend of my wife basically kind of arranged with flowers. And
Yep.
then we had the
A
6
witness.
children, a witness that was immunocompromised, and did it by coming through the back door into an empty room and signed the traditional Jewish ketubah, which is kind of like, the commitment that you make while
Could
being
you
married.
use one of these cameramen? Could you use one of the camera people? Like you had the NBC staff. Couldn't you use any of them?
Well, the only thing that came to mind was I wanted to videotape it and had a college friend of my son come and kind of do a video. And then I'm saying the night before, literally, I'm sitting and saying, this is really crazy. We're going to do something completely crazy. I wonder if somebody outside us would do something like that. So literally without planning, it was just a kind of a hunch. I kind of contacted NBC4, which is the leading Washington, D.C. Station and also national by
Yeah.
default, and asked a consumer reporter there through Facebook, through a messenger, are you interested in learning about how there is one wedding that is happening actually as COVID is shutting us down? And she said, that sounds interesting, but I'm not sure. Let me get it to the news editor. And lo and behold, we get a call an hour and a half later and saying it was like about 6 p.m. now, the day before, and the day after. And very quickly, I get a call from a reporter, and the reporter said, can we come to the wedding? Tell us when it's happening. And it happened. A crew of videographers and a reporter with masks on. We had masks on and came to the wedding, and they stood on the steps outside the ledge until the ceremony actually started. I even incorporated a message to tell people you need to be careful, which was a funny moment because my youngest son, Max, was standing there and next to the canopy. And I said, well, we need to show them that we're doing it safely. So I had a thermometer that we had for everybody anyway, and a mask and basically and a sanitizer. And we literally kind of filmed that as well to show we're doing it the safe way.
I love
So
it. I love it. And you see, they had to report some good news. So like it was probably good timing, like
yeah,
jump in there.
because
So
we, yes,
so for everyone out there, you can jump on. You've got my Calendly link right here. You can jump on with me 15 minutes. I'll send you a copy of Flourish, which is the playbook for, the growth plan, which I love. You can also pick up, the new growth book for beating Goliath with AI, which is going to be also another playbook for how are you going to use this marketing? How are you going to use the AI in your company, which I love. It's going to be so good. Don't believe the hype. Also out, the loss of trust. It's such a big thing. 83% do not trust their manager. 93% of the leaders think their employees trust them, and only 30% actually trust the media or would say they do it. I mean, don't believe the hype. Like nobody's believing the hype, right? Like we are lost in a cesspool of lack of trust. I've only got 1 minute on this, but give me where this thing fell off and how the angle came about this book.
The angle came from really from COVID, actually. I believe that there was a lot more trust before COVID because people interacted with each other. You could go to lunch with somebody, you could have a phone call that was intimate to a degree. And human relations were based on really kind of having conversations that are not just transactional. There are no trade shows anymore where most commerce really happens. People meet people and create new business. And what I saw was that, once we took away all these communication tools and people couldn't meet each other, it was a world of living on analog, basically. You can only do one channel at a time and it doesn't interact with the other channels. So then came the pandemic, and the pandemic basically made it worse because Zoom was introduced and Microsoft Meetings and WebEx and whichever brand it was. it basically presented the idea that you can trust somebody because you saw them on video. Well, part of it was true, but the majority of it was, I don't believe that person, because many times, actually, managers put themselves on mute or
Don't
on
communicate.
don't show your picture because they weren't comfortable using video as that tool. So fast forward, COVID was over. People are working from home even today, 2026, 3-day week in most companies, might go to 4. But the bottom line was that in the new world, trust has to be re-earned again. And that trust does not come from a technology. It comes from people interacting and finding ways to communicate with each other. And the other narrative, if I may, to just kind of finish that point, is the idea that we used to believe that we own the narrative as a company, no matter what company you are, no matter what brand you are. Post-COVID, social media blew up, and social media has people that can trash your product or your service, and people believe what that person wrote and like it 800 times, and suddenly you got a problem. Managers don't trust each other because they see product reviews about the quality assurance of their product or service. And then the CEO basically doesn't know who to believe. So they're looking for a way to measure it. The book is about building trust index, a benchmark from 0 to 10. Pick your topics where you see people don't trust each other and start by benchmarking where you're not trusted internally and externally. And the most important thing, with your employees. If you can do that, you don't have to be at a 10 next year, but at least you're showing the effort and you're being authentic in identifying problems and admitting with transparency that you have problems. That's a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. I love it. All right. For everybody out there, Gol Borenstein today of the Borenstein Group. You can check them out all over the internet. Tell them how they find you, Gol.
The most simplest way that I've found is really to connect with me on LinkedIn. If you go on LinkedIn and type Gol Borenstein, I believe there's only 2 or 3 in the world on LinkedIn that have the name, and connect with me via the message portion of it. And as an offer to all your listeners and viewers, if you send me that email to connect, I will send you a free ebook version of the book, because I really want to spread the word about how we can be better. And it starts by self-knowledge and learning about yourself.
Love it. For everybody out there, thank you for joining us on the Winners Find a Way show every Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific live. We get all the video of all my special guests. The podcast drops on Friday mornings, which is incredible. You're going to all Spotify, Apple, everywhere on all your major networks and your podcasting network. For me, if you want to know more about growth, Gol just told you how you could get a hold of him. Now you can get a free copy of his new book, which is incredible, the digital copy, which is awesome. You're going to want to check out Don't Believe the Hype, even his older books, right? Activate and his book on the CEOs. It's so good, right? So you're going to want to check that out. For me, if you book a 15-minute call, you want to talk about where you're stuck, where you're challenged, and you want to know more about growth, I'll take that call with you. And also, I will send you a copy of Flourish, which is the playbook for growth. It's going to give you all sorts of nuggets. You're going to walk away with 2 or 3 ideas that you're going to move on action right now to get yourself unstuck. Highly recommend you do that immediately. 2026, make it your best year ever. For everybody else, thank you for joining us. Always love to have you. Gol, thank you so much for being here. So much fun talking always all this shop. So for everybody else, winners, find a way.